Hey folks, I'm best-selling author of The Power Zero, David McKnight. In today's video, you'll see part one of my interview with financial advisor Caleb Gilliams, in which we discuss the fatal flaw in one-size-fits-all guru-based financial advice.
We're going to jump into your new book, The Guru Gap. First of all, congratulations on that amazing title. And before we dive into some of the gurus and talk about, critique maybe some of their views and statements, why don't you just give a little bit of backstory of why this book, kind of where your headspace is in 2024? And I know that you just had an amazing event for financial professionals earlier this year. And so congratulations on the success that you're having, and excited to dive into this new book.
Thanks. I think it's important to also know the subtitle of the book, which is How America's Financial Gurus Are Leading You Astray and How to Get Back on Track. And so, you know, the whole idea here is that there's a huge swath of America that puts a lot of trust in financial gurus. And who are the main suspects we're talking about here? We're talking about Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, Clark Howard, Ken Fisher, Ramit Sethi. Those are the five gurus I really address in the book. And you have to sort of understand, if you want to be a successful financial guru, you have to get as many eyes on your podcast as possible, as many eyes on your books as possible. So it doesn't really benefit you to have an expertise in a single niche. You have to be able to dispense advice in a sort of a one size fits all, paint by the numbers, black and white sort of a way. Because in the very moment that some listener says, well, Dave or Susie, they're too niche for me, I'm going to, to really solve my financial problems, to really wring the most efficiency out of my retirement dollars, I'm going to need to get an independent financial advisor who can create a customized plan for me. In the very moment that a listener or a viewer comes to that conclusion, Dave Ramsey's lost them. And so they're no longer part of his tribe. And so Dave Ramsey has to dispense advice in such a way where every single one of his listeners is saying, wow, Dave is speaking to me. This is a one-stop shop where I can go to Dave Ramsey and he can solve all my financial problems. And that is the goal of these financial gurus. The problem is that approach is not very consonant with an individual American wringing the most efficiency out of their retirement savings. It's not, and we can talk about lots of examples, but that whole paradigm, that whole financial guru paradigm, I think is causing Americans to run out of money years in advance of when they ever thought possible. And it's because they're implementing strategies from quote unquote financial experts who are not truly financial experts, but are just trying to build a following. And so that was really the main impetus behind the book.
Yeah, I love it. I think if you take a step back, my personal belief is everyone should want to be as efficient as possible. And my definition of efficiency is removing any friction to get to where you want to go. And it's like, how can you give advice to people who want different things? Like, we all want different things. And so the idea that one size fits all is going to be like the path would be laughable. And yet on the flip side, we look in like we live in a very shallow political world where it's like you can never say that you're wrong. Like, you kind of have to stay in your lane. And so for Dave Ramsey to say debt is okay if would like destroy his entire movement. And so I in one aspect respect his like ability to just like stick to one thing, because I'm way too ADD. I can't stick to anything for like, and I'm like willing to change my mind, and I love that. But again, there's me who have a teeny following, and there's Dave Ramsey, who's probably known as like America's top financial guru. So before we dive into Dave, I want to take a step back and say, what is your Dave? You should have like a debate, Dave versus Dave. What is David McKnight's big picture framework of how you think and how you believe that people should be viewing money? Because I want to set the stage before we dive in and maybe critique the other gurus that could be missing some things.
Well, I'm a big fan of academia. I'm a big fan of math. I'm a big fan of doing whatever strategy will help you literally wring the most efficiency out of your retirement savings. And sometimes that sort of approach calls for financial instruments that are nuanced, that don't fit in every single situation, that fit maybe in situations A, B, and C, but not in situations D, E, and F. And so there's some nuance when it comes to understanding how to incorporate these different financial tools into a given person's financial scenario. The problem is if you have that one size fits all approach, you don't have the luxury of the nuance. You don't have the luxury of saying, okay, listener, I could see how this annuity could work in these scenarios. He has to have, or financial gurus have to have, they have to adopt a position that is palatable for everybody. I'm just the opposite. I say, look, there's going to be some situations where, for example, a cash value life insurance policy would help extend the life of someone's retirement. And there's other situations maybe where it wouldn't. And so it's just a much more nuanced approach. And overarching this entire paradigm is a belief in my core that tax rates even 10 years from now are likely to be dramatically higher than they are today. And in a rising tax rate environment, there's an ideal amount of money to have in your 401k and your IRA. And so we talk about that all the time. How much should you have in your 401ks and IRAs? And if you have anything above and beyond that ideal amount, we should be systematically repositioning those things to tax-free. So really, I'm real big on math. I'm real big on trying to shield ourselves from the impact of higher taxes down the road, and then building a customized plan that helps shield us and mitigate as many risks as possible over time.
So just to be clear, jumping in, you're not anti-stock market, you're not anti-life insurance, you're not anti-annuities, you're not anti-reverse mortgages, but you're also not like a proponent of any one thing and that's going to like solve your problems. You're a fan of like taking a look at things. You've said math a couple times, and like really utilizing math, projections, history, and saying what is the best outcome. One thing that you have an amazing brand on is this concept of power of zero. It's like this, when you look at all the things going on, I don't know if you know the current, debt, liabilities, national debt, but it's like you look at this is a train wreck ready to happen, and you're like, okay, we can look at math, and we can also say you're probably going to be better off if we can understand the tax liability in the future and limit that as much as possible, because that could be the thing that you could do all this thing over here and math could look great, but taxes could essentially rob your ability to have a bright future.
Yeah, and the thing that's great about what you and I do, Caleb, is our job is to take account of those things like rising tax rates and take account of all of the different financial tools that are in the toolbox. And our job is sort of fit the puzzle pieces together and figure out how they fit together in the right way. And everybody's different. There's no cookie cutter approach. And people come back to me and they say, well, Dave, aren't you a guru? Don't you fancy yourself a guru? And I say, no, I don't fancy myself a guru, because I'm really appealing to a very narrow segment of America, which is the sophisticated, disciplined investor that's done a good job of saving money for retirement. They've just saved it in the wrong types of accounts. Okay, folks, that was part one of my interview with financial advisor Caleb Gilliams. Folks, in the next 10 years, I'm looking to put 1 million Americans on the road to the 0% tax bracket. If you would like some help implementing a balanced, comprehensive approach to tax-free retirement that shields you from the impact of higher taxes down the road, head on over to davidmcknight.com and click on the Connect with an Advisor button. I'm happy to refer you to an advisor in the Power Zero Network that's been trained, vetted, and qualified personally by me. If you're a financial professional and want to learn how to become a certified Power Zero advisor, head over to powerzero.com and opt into my free video series. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to drop them into the comment section below. I'll respond to every single one of them personally. And don't forget to click like, subscribe, and the bell so you never miss a video. This is David McKnight. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.